In the world of fragrance, making you smell delicious and offending you at the same time may be considered especially heinous. In New York City, a gorgeous Cubano and his elite squad of ball sprayers will seek out these colognes and investigate them. This is his story. Bitch.
Today I'ma shed a little bit of light on my old heads, aka motherfuckers just like me. If you 27 plus, you either know some of these fragrances or have smelled it in your vicinity and just didn't know the name. I literally bought these 4 fragrances just to make this video and just to bring myself back to the good old times when there was no social media, there was no fucking portable gaming systems really. And if you did have one, you couldn't take it outside because you was gonna get robbed by the neighborhood crackhead who used to steal all the car batteries because that was a hustle. The good old days of playing basketball off the fire escape and making sure you hit that bank shot right off the air conditioner so it was nothing but gate. Chilling on the Jewish steps while they were having Sabbath, making more noise than should be possible and them kicking you off while you come back 5 minutes later. Running up the block over crack needles and watching the neighborhood crackhead walk yet balance himself ever so acrobatically while trying to avoid the dog shit so you can get to the basketball hoop and get the court that you want because the other shit is slightly slanted. Those were the fucking good old days. Let's roll my motherfucking music so I can bring y'all bitches back to my childhood. Blessed morning, my beautiful peoples. You know who it is. It's your boy, C to the U to the B to the A. We're gonna take a motherfucking trip. We're gonna take a trip to Washington Heights where your boy is born and raised and literally bring you back to a nostalgic time in Mini Cuba's life, aka I'm still fucking Mini, but a different time, a different vibe, a different fragrance, a situation. I always talk about fragrances and how they put you in certain situations. So I'm gonna try to describe each one of these fragrances in situation or scenario of Washington Heights and Mini Cuba back in the day. So we're gonna start off with the one, the only, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. This was worn at every Dominican baby shower. And what I mean by a Dominican baby shower is you celebrate the child for 3 hours, make sure the child rocks his ass to sleep, and then you start cracking the alcohol open while getting twisted with the loudest band that you can possibly find. And if the band wasn't available because they were trash from the night before, you have 7 or 8 subwoofers with about 120 tweeters blowing the fuck out of the building, and your uncle came in shining like a movie star wearing Fahrenheit by Dior. This is not the original Fahrenheit. This is not the vintage formulation. Those are expensive and hard to come by, and I ain't doing that. This is like a 2017 version, and honestly, it's still all about the nostalgia. It's still got that dark tar kind of sensation that I get of that abrupt leather. You still have that vibe of you just got that flow. This was on everybody's shelf or everybody's mirror. Right next to the cocaine residue, you had Fahrenheit. Still awesome, still fresh, still leathery, still has some amber qualities to it, still got darkness. It still has a little bit of old school sex appeal. If you go for them older motherfuckers, they gonna be wearing this type of shit. Not for nothing though. I've worn this shit twice since I just recently bought the bottle, and the opening is not my favorite, but Fahrenheit is all about that dry down. The Dominican baby shower. Those Dominican baby showers were lit. I would give anything to go to one of those with that big ridiculous ass chair, and you know that chick was like a former model, but you knocked her up just to trap her. Oh, leather, that wet sticky tar when you were trying to get your tan on the roof and you try to put your foot down but you're sticking, like that scene in Weekend from Bernie's. This is just one of those classic fragrances that will never die. That's why everybody goes for the unicorn old school ones, because it just brings you back. It's all about nostalgia. It's not that this is so fucking poppin'. You know somebody who wore this shit and it just brought you back to good old times. Fahrenheit by Dior. Damn, I want to go to a baby shower. Next one. Y'all may or may not have heard of this, but this shit is old as fuck. This is by Van Cleef & Arpels, and this one's called Czar or Czar, however the fuck you want to pronounce it. And this is definitely a vintage version because rusty, dusty, and kind of musty. Literally reminds me of my old man and our weekends going out, especially on Sundays. My grandfather is someone who is very handsome, very debonair. In his time, it would be all about La Guayabera, which is pretty much a traditional Cuban type apparel. It's a long white shirt. It's got 2 pockets on it. It's kind of squared off, but you can get it custom made of the finest fabrics. You got the right amount of jewelry, not too much, not too little, and you spray this on with some nice dress pants and some really light dress shoes, and we go out on our Sunday's best, smelling like old school nostalgia. Very green, very old school fougere vibe. It has a beautiful lavender base, but it's so fucking green and aquatic like that it just brings you back to this fucking good time. It's so good, so inviting, and a compliment getter back then. Right now, there are different fragrances that may have that similar vibe, but they don't got this kind of essence, this old school. You know what I'm saying? This is just nostalgic. This for me is really Sunday's best. You go in a church or any religious congregation that you go to, Sunday's best, and after you do the little get together at the diner or the restaurant, or you go to family's house and chill and do a little barbecue, you smelling fabulous and gonna get the compliments that you want. Damn, man, throwback like a motherfucker. Van Cleef and Arpels, Czar or Czar, however the fuck you wanna spell it, lit. Damn. Next one. Now this joint right here, we talking about freshman Cuba. This shit I used to steal from my old man. If you didn't know or you haven't watched my earlier videos, you know my old man, my grandfather, is the OG of this fragrance game. That's why I'm even in front of this camera. It's because of him. So he used to have hidden gems that back then, obviously, I had no fucking idea. But now when I think about half of the shit that he has, I'm like, yo, he had some fire shit. This one, I don't think most of y'all have ever heard of. And honestly, this is one of the old school freshies that I'm gonna be fucking with heavy this summer, because it just brings me back to a dope time as a fat freshman with pimples all over my chin, looking like I was eating dirty box. Didn't know where I was going, what I wanted to do, wearing stupid khakis in an all-boys Catholic school until I got kicked out from mischief. And this fragrance is none other than by J. Del Pozo. This one's called Quasar. Look at this joint. First of all, this is a cool ass fucking bottle. It's all plastic, it's not really metal. But this shit is a cool bottle. But I gotta read you the notes on this joint so you can kind of get a vibe. And this is a 1994 vintage joint, which is super hard to get for a decent price right now. Because when I was shopping for this fucking thing, I had to get this motherfucker like overseas. Because over here is like $100 something plus. And I'm like, whoa, bitch. Old man didn't pay that shit back in the day. At the top, you got banana leaf and fruity notes. Plátanos. Then you got rosemary, lavender, sage, geranium, and then you got sandalwood, patchouli, oak moss, and cedar. Bitch, can you just put that shit in your mind right now? We're talking about a beautiful, bright as fuck, fruity but not gourmand or sticky sensation. Fresh as fuck, super aquatic, with solid performance for me. At least 5-6 hours. For a freshie, which is very difficult to obtain, this one has that. The opening is a blast. It's a little bit aggressive, but you definitely get that fruity banana type vibe. And then you get that blast of aquatic saltiness. So super sweet and salty, sexy, fresh, inviting, super lovely. It's just so fucking dope. I was so trying to fit in, and although I was an ugly little fat bastard, which I'm still not far from, just kidding, I'm still sexy. This shit used to get me compliments even in high school, and I went to an all-boys high school, so that was weird in itself, but you get my drift. If you have an opportunity to test this out, I really want your guys' feedback if you know about this fragrance, or if your old man rocks shit like this. I don't know how easy it's gonna be to find a sample of this shit. I don't recommend buying the whole box because it's too fucking expensive for this throwback, but yo, honestly, this shit is so fire. I suggest y'all at least look this shit up and get the essence of what Quasar was and Cuba back in his freshman years before he dropped out and started, you know, transporting clothing. Last and certainly not least, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I never wore this one back in the day. Why? Because all my dudes was wearing this shit, and I always wanted to stay away from what everybody else was wearing it. I wanted a little bit of exclusivity. I wanted to stand out from the crowd and not be really in the mix for what everybody else was doing. But I can't help the fact that it's still a great fragrance. It's completely nostalgic. Everybody in the crew wore it, and it still to this day gets mad compliments, and that's Burberry Touch. I mean, honestly, what bad can you say about Burberry Touch, or what can I tell you that you don't already know about Burberry Touch? Super old school, fresh, pottery, super inviting. For me, it's youthful, but it's still able to be worn now. It still has great performance on my skin, but it also reminds me on my skin of like Czar. Czar was a big dude who used to wear this shit like consistently till the fucking drops. It just reminds me of the times going out, sneaking into the lounge when we knew we were under 21, but you knew the dude at the door because he was pitching on the block, and I was like, yo, I'll snitch on you if you don't let me in. He was like, yo, don't get crazy. So he'll let you in, and then you're buying random Long Island iced teas, which you have no business buying. Then you're ass drunk trying to get with the 40-year-old lady who's all about that young dick. And that's all Burberry Touch is. Super inviting, very fresh, very pop, sexy, inviting, youthful, live. Damn, this shit is still lit. Now that none of the boys that I chill with wear this shit, I can now start wearing Burberry Touch with confidence that I'm not gonna smell like anybody around me. I'll probably smell like a couple of older heads who don't know shit about fragrance or just don't care. They just wanna smell good. But anybody around me ain't really wearing this right now. So I can finally embrace the Burberry Touch and touch myself all over wearing this shit. I just hope y'all motherfuckers realize that I just took you back to my childhood. I took you back to the fucking hood. I took you back to wars on drugs. I took you back to the best house parties you've ever been to in your life. I took you back to after that house party, there was a gang waiting outside ready to slice 5 people. Like, this is about that life. And if you don't think it was, Google Washington Heights in the 80s and 90s, and then need I say more. You just came into my neighborhood and I just invited y'all bitches in, so you're welcome. All these shits is ball sprayers, and I hope y'all motherfuckers enjoyed that video because I'm the biggest in the fucking game. Give this video a huge thumbs up or a fuck you. Either way, it's still something up. And I'll see y'all bitches next time. All these shits is ball sprayers because I told you they were. And I'll see y'all motherfuckers next time. You know who it is? The biggest in the fucking game. Smooches.
Cubaknow, what's fresh, who's best? One of them's gonna pass the test. Cubaknow.
For the fly gun holder, money folder, motor roller, start tack when it's time to call back. For the rough, rugged, and raw way, this nigga Jay, it's a game, but he don't play. Ay, for all the chicks that got dead in the penthouse suite on top of my mom's crib. It's nonsense, you never get in. It's nonsense that you would think that you would.